Good. So, as most of you mentioned, the hemostasis are those three processes. So we have the vessel. First, we have a vessel injury, yes? And because of the vessel injury, we need all of those processes that are in the hemostasis. So, first is the vascular spasm. What is the vascular spasm? As you probably know, or if you do not know yet, now is good time to get this knowledge. In the blood vessels, in the walls of the blood vessels, we have a lot of smooth muscle cells. Those smooth muscle cells are muscle cells. And what every muscle cell in the body can do? Every muscle cell in the body can contract. So, when you have a muscle, you can move a limb. You can contract the muscles in order to move a limb. In case of the vessels, it means also that they can contract. In case of the vessel, these contractions means always the same thing. It means that the lumen, the light of the blood vessel, would get smaller. Yes, it would get contracted. And when it gets strongly contracted, it can severely reduce the amount of blood that can get out. Because imagine that when it's very, very small, only a bit of blood can trickle out. Yes, it's the first very fast and in sometimes very effective mechanism. It's especially effective in case of the smaller arteries. In case of the veins, it's not so effective because veins does not have so strong muscles. In case of the big arteries, it's also not effective because they are too big and the blood pressure inside is also too big. But in small arteries, it's very effective mechanism. But it's not anywhere in the body, it's not enough. The second thing that will happen is the platelet plaque. Platelet plaque is done by the activation of the platelets. So we activated the platelets. Platelets, one more time, are created in the bone marrow as a part of the megakaryocytes. They release a lot of substances and they connect to each other. This releasing of the substances will also be very important in the first step, so this blood clotting, when the fibrin is created. The fibrin is a polymer, is a very long chain of the amino acids that is created from the fibrinogen, so from the protein that is abundant in the blood. So fibrin is created from fibrinogen, but first we need the platelet plaque and we need also the substances, at least to some extent we need substances that are created now. They're useful, maybe not very critical, but useful. So this is one more time about the similar things. Yes, so when we have those platelets, they need to first we need to have an adhesion. Yes, so adhesion is a process when a platelet would attach. Would attach to the wall of the vessel. It's critical because imagine that the blood vessels, from the perspective of the platelet or anything in it, is like a strong river. Yes, it's hard to stop. But platelets, as many other cells, has the ability to adhere, to plug into the blood vessel wall in order to start the formation of the plaque. Yes, so it attaches, then other attaches to the first one, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. This is a general idea. But maybe not the most important, but maybe even the most important, but very, very important part of the hemostasis is this blood clotting. So we have two main systems of this blood clotting, the intrinsic system and extrinsic system. Both of them are generally the huge cascade of the proteins, different proteins, that are in the plasma. So all of these substances generally, apart from thrombin, generally, are in the bloodstream. Yes, in the inactivated steps. Thrombin is not, because we have the prothrombin. And generally, never mind. Generally, we have all of them, but not activated as a precursors. And idea is that we have something that activates this system, like in the intrinsic system. It's mainly the surface factors. In case of the extrinsic system, are mainly the tissue factors, like the tissue thromboplastin. So, this whole process leads to very fast formation of the fibrin. Yes? So, fibrin is, one more time, this here. Yes? Fibrin is this that creates the blood clot, generally speaking, with the help of the platelets, of course. But the fibrin is this last step, generally the very, very important step. And in order to get the fibrin, we need first to get through the long chain of the chemical reactions. This long chain of the chemical reactions may start as the intrinsic system or extrinsic system, but the end is the same. So, how the intrinsic system starts? The intrinsic system starts because of the surface factors, like the collagen. Wait a moment. When our blood vessels would get injured, you see what sticks out here, yes? A lot of collagen that is in the walls of the vessels become loose, yes? It looks a bit like if you ever have seen the glass fiber. Oh, maybe not, it's too hard. But you've seen for sure some desk that was broken, yes? And some needles of wood were sticking out. This is here similar. So naturally, the collagen is kept in the wall of the vessel. It's not seen by the blood, let's say. Yes, the blood does not have an immediate contact with the collagen. So when the blood has some immediate contact with the collagen, it means that the blood is not in the place that it should be. So this is a signal for the blood that there should be some blood clot formation. What is the other information? Generally, when you have the vessel injury, there is also the injury of the tissues around and releasing of a lot of substances from those tissues. For example, tissue factor. And then this tissue factor will act on the substances in the dissolved in the plasma in order to activate the intrinsic mechanism. Yes? Extrinsic mechanism. So, intrinsic mechanism is controlled by the collagen. Extrinsic mechanism is controlled by the tissue factors, like the tissue thromboplastin. But both of them leads to the same. So, to the formation of the thrombin by activation, formation of the fibrin by activation of the thrombin. Yes, so one more time. Intrinsic system, surface factors like the collagen. Extrinsic system, tissue factors like the tissue thromboplastin. So the substance that is naturally in the tissues, so outside the blood vessels, but naturally it's not in the blood vessels. And it leads to the thrombin, and thrombin leads to the fibrin. Okay, thank you.